How to draw your hand, part 1. Okay, so let's have a look at the bones in our hand. We can see our fingers each have 3 bones, or digits. We can see that they are connected to our wrist by a long bone coming down from each finger, and they are known as metacarpals, those bones. And then our thumb is hinging off from our wrist and is also made of 3 digits. Now the thumb will be hard to draw, but let's have a look first at how to quickly draw a hand before we delve into how to draw a hand more accurately tonally. Okay, so if we imagine a hand is like a square, but the top of the square is a little bit off and goes up on the right hand side. That is if you're drawing your left hand. Now what I did after that is I quickly sketched out 4 lines to represent my fingers, just so I could have an idea of where to place them. You can see that I've also tried to break the fingers up into digits, and that's helped me try to establish the length of each digit. Now it's usually that the first digit is the longest, and then each digit after that gets smaller as it goes down the finger. Now drawing the thumb is tricky because it's not coming off of the top of the hand, it's coming out from the base of the wrist really. So you might have to, like I did here, experiment a little bit with the scale of it and ensure it's not too big. So if you think about it just coming beyond your knuckle underneath your forefinger, that's a good guide. And if you look at the top of the thumb, it sort of flicks away because we're looking at our thumb from a side on, from profile, unlike looking at the top of our fingers. So now we're going to try and draw our hand with a bit more time and attention. So we've got to carefully, lightly, holding our pencil, sketch out our guidelines for this. A bit like our skeleton is holding up our hand, we've got to draw in some light lines which are going to support our drawing. So you can see the shape of my hand, again, is a sort of squint square, flattish at the bottom, coming up to the top, and then a slope going up to the right hand side. And you can see here I was messing around. You've got to kind of work out your scale. If you're thinking about the palm of your hand being the first thing we put in, then we've got to then try and make our fingers to the correct size. So always, closing one eye, judging the distances between, or the length of one finger against the length of the palm of your hand. And I'm also using this middle line, again you can see, as a base for me to put the digits on, and also to try and put the angle of my hands. Now when I'm actually drawing each finger, I do try to accentuate the shape of the bones underneath. They sort of have a wide bit at the area where they join a knuckle or where they join a digit, and then they become thinner in the middle, and then they become thicker again at the end where they're going to join something. So I tend to make sure that my lines curve in at those areas. I suppose I also have quite lumpy knuckles, so that helps me, or reminds me, that that's the shape of my bones underneath. Now for the thumb, it's hinging off from the wrist, and again I'm not wanting to draw it too big. I'm wanting to make sure that it's coming just above the knuckle for my forefinger, and I used a line to give me a main guide with that, and I've got to think about the structure of each of those bones underneath. Now the thumb is a bigger finger if you like, so the bones are stronger, and that's something to be reflected in your drawing. Your thumb will be thicker than your other fingers. And the complicated part again is the fleshy bit, or the muscle that pulls the thumb in towards the hand. That's something which I usually make up drawing using a few lines, a few curved lines, just to suggest where exactly that fleshy muscle is. Now what I've been doing here for this while is just adding some tone, some more defined edge to my hand, giving it a more defined outline, using my guidelines, which I press lightly to create. And now I'm pressing a lot harder and I'm defining the edge of my shapes within my hand. So you can see I've tried to accentuate again the shape of each bone underneath the skin.
Okay, so that's it for part 1 of how to draw a hand. Let's meet next time and we'll begin to shade and render our drawing. Goodbye for now. Goodbye for now.